This is just kind of the AEW Wrestling Rant Show where I just kind of rant on AEW and things going on with them and stuff like that. But today, everything that I'm talking about is coming from AEW financial reports, the Cody Rhodes, Eric Bischoff, everybody really involved with AEW. And I want to talk about why AEW is set to actually fail. Now, start off by talking to Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff stated that basically AEW's plan is basically WCW's plan, identical. Like everything AEW is doing is what WCW was doing. Starting off with overpaying for talent. Now, one of the things that I found that AEW might be in trouble in, and according to financial reports, they currently are going to be in trouble in rather quickly, is Cody Rhodes said, hey, look, I got a shit ton of money, I'm going to spend it all on talent, let's go. One thing that Eric Bischoff was stating that one of the main big problems that WCW had was, of course, they went bankrupt because they overpaid for talent. A lot of the AEW wrestlers and superstars are coming out currently saying that they would have signed to AEW for far less than what they were given because they just wanted an alternative to WWE. They wanted an alternative to MLW. They wanted an alternative to anything. So they would have signed for much less than what they were offered, which kind of leads me to believe that Cody Rhodes is actually putting ridiculous numbers out there and giving them ridiculous numbers. Even Chris Jericho stated that he would have signed to AEW for far less than what he was given. All these guys are saying basically they never even seen this amount of money before in their entire lives. The offers that they're getting are ridiculous. And kind of the bad thing about that is AEW doesn't know what they're making per year. So when the wrestlers' contracts are up, they're forced to pay that or more instead of going down back. So basically, they're just screwing themselves on that one. Another kind of point is AEW's undercharging for their events. Basically, their ticket prices are insanely low compared to pretty much everybody else's. Sure, yeah, they sold out within minutes, but their ticket prices are really just too low. And the fact that Cody Rhodes has came out in an interview, he stated that him and the AEW are teaming up with a lot of non-profit organizations, a lot of charities in and around the United States, and basically what they're going to be doing more often than not is donating large portions of their gates to these charities and so on and so forth. But that's really, it's really good that they're doing that, but it's bad from a business standpoint because they're not making any of that money back. And I think in a financial report, it's stated that if AEW goes the way it's continuing to go, it's going to take the Khan family over 25 years to get any return on their investment. And that's just at the initial $100 million investment. It's going to take them over 25 years to actually get that back, and that's without putting money in. Even according to even the financial reports, if the AEW continues to go in the way it is, it's going to be gone within the next 2 years, I think is what their report actually stated, because even the television, Time Warner is basically who they're going to sign with. But according to Time Warner, their contracts for their television deals are about a quarter of what they used to be because they can't compete with streaming companies like Netflix. They can't compete with Cody boxes. They can't compete with all these other internet streaming companies. So instead of Time Warner's offering those, $100 million TV deals or $50 million TV deals, according to Time Warner, they're according to Turner Network and Time Warner, their TV deals are far less. So at most, AEW would get out of them is a few $1 million a year, and it costs about over $1 million to produce a live wrestling show. So they're not really going to get any return back on that investment through the TV deal, even the merch deal. A lot of people say, well, they're a t-shirt company. No, wrestling tees is the people that actually produce their shirts for them. AEW doesn't get 100% of the purchase, 100% of the profits from their t-shirts and hoodies and hats and stuff like that. It's a 60-40 deal with Pro Wrestling Tees. So Pro Wrestling Tees gets the majority of the money. AEW gets less, gets pretty much no money. They get pennies whenever you buy a shirt for like 40, 50 bucks. They get a few bucks out of the deal. That's really all it is. And I mean, you can't really compete with a company like WWE or MLW or a company that's actually producing its own products without going to a second party or third party to actually do so. You know what I mean? Like, so financially, according to the reports, according to everything, they're not going to be able to keep going the way that they're going. I mean, they're just undercharging for things. They're giving money to charity from their gates. They're not making 100% of their deals from their t-shirts and their merchandising deals. Basically, they're not making 100% of it. They're making much less of that. I mean, it's just financially they're doomed, because especially even if this is $100 million a year thing where the Khan family puts in $100 million a year, I mean, they're just really doomed. Like I said, I mean, financially, statistics, it's going to take them over 25 years to see any results from that. They're not going to be putting in money to a company that's, you know, basically sinking them. I mean, the Khan family's worth $4.2 billion. At $100 million a year for, you know, X amount of years, that's not really going to work out financially. I mean, just the financials for AEW, it's not there. And the amount of money that Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks are spending just on talent and everything else, I mean, it's just really bad. Like, I mean, they blew through already like almost half of their budget already, and they're still going. Like, they still want to sign, you know, all these big names, and they still want to spend and spend and spend and spend. Even according to Vince McMahon, who stated that WWE basically spends what it spends because it knows what its gain is. At the end of the year, they know what they make, they know what they are able to pay their superstars, they know what it costs them to put on shows, it knows their cost, they know their cost. So they know how much money to put into the company because they know how much money they're going to get out of the company. The Khan family and Cody Rhodes and that, they don't know how much money they're going to get out of it, and they keep spending. And according to the financial analyst, I mean, they're just not going to get that return on it. I mean, even UFC, which is a huge product, they just made their money back from when the I can't remember what their names are now, but when the Zuffa brothers bought UFC, it took them like 10 to 15 years to gain their money back. You know what I mean? Yeah, even according to Bischoff, one of the other big issues that WCW faced that AEW is reliving is giving too much creative control to the wrestlers, which is what AEW wants to do. They want to give like huge amount of creative control to the wrestlers, and when you do that as a head office person, you lose that control, which means that you lose that ability to do certain stuff head office wise. You lose that ability to make certain decisions, you lose that ability to basically organize certain things. Like, you're losing control, which is a huge mistake according to Eric Bischoff. It's one of the reasons why WCW, you know, went under, was, you know, the money. They lost the creative control and so on and so forth. I mean, WCW was a, you know, I think $200-300 million company at one point. They ended up selling to Vince McMahon for $4.2 million. They ended up selling the company for. So AEW is just reliving this. I mean, financially, they're just, you know, going down, and I mean, just, you know, creative control, they're just giving up to their wrestlers. They want WWE fans to kind of, you know, be more, I mean, WWE, they want AEW fans to be more involved, which really never works. Like, according to Bischoff and everybody, it doesn't work, you know. So everything that AEW is doing is unfortunately going to be fighting against them and biting them in the ass. Even their partnership with AAA, I know they're really excited about that, and so are the fans. But unfortunately, AAA is a really difficult company to deal with. I mean, they've done business with, like I said, WWE over the years. I think they still actually are doing business with them. They're doing business with, Impact, and they're just a really notoriously a bad company to deal with because of how they treat business on their end. So they're going to have trouble, of course, dealing with AAA. They're going to we already know that they are having, according to the financial reports, they're having trouble. They're going to have trouble financially. Like, I mean, I can't see the Khan family putting in any more money than what they did unless they see a return. Like, knowing the Khan family a little bit like I do, I can't see them putting in, next year another 100 million, and then what I mean, because they're just going to get swallowed whole if they do that. But I wish them the best of luck. Like I said, I think that they're doomed to repeat the WCW, and I hope that everybody's wrong, that they do have a couple years more than just this 2-year thing. Hopefully they at least make the 10-20 year mark and see a little bit of a return on their investment. I think they're going all wrong about what they're doing as well. I mean, also another kind of thing that's pretty bad is Cody Rhodes is, of course, just hiring friends and family and stuff like that for the back office. And a lot of these people, according to even themselves, have come out and said, well, I've never been in this position before, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm going to learn as I go. That's not really a good way to do business, because you have people running the company that have never done certain positions before, but they're just kind of learning on the job and learning as they go. That's really not a good thing, because the huge mistakes are going to be made, both financially and just every other creative wise and just every other way when you hire people that way. I mean, unfortunately, like I said, I mean, we've seen that as well in WCW, where Bischoff was just hiring his friends and stuff like that, and nobody really knew what they were doing at one point. I mean, it's going to happen again, because that's what Cody Rhodes is apparently doing. He's apparently hiring friends and family, and same with the Young Bucks. They're kind of filling their back office or their head office with kind of family and friends, and nobody's really been in these positions before. So it's going to be interesting. I hope AEW makes it, but I really don't think they do, because everything financially and just creatively and just decisions and people working for them, I mean, it's all working against them. But I wish them the best of luck. But that's the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and over much, and I'll check you in the next video.